The UN Forum for Gender Equality and Women Empowerment has chosen its chair, Abdulaziz Al-Wasi, the Saudi ambassador to the United Nations. Does it sound ironic? Human rights groups also felt the same. A man from a kingdom that has been infamous for its conservatism has been asked to lead a women's forum, according to them. While it's very easy to pick and hit and critique this move, to question if this is the best foot forward on the road to progress, one must acknowledge the distance that Saudi Arabia has traveled in the last few years, all under the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's leadership. You see, this is the same kingdom that has been under Wahhabi conservatism for a century. But now just look at the strides it is making. Just last night, I told you, Saudi Arabia is all set to enter the Miss Universe pageant. It's only the second Gulf country to do that after Bahrain. Sounds pretty progressive, right? It's almost like Saudi Arabia has become the land of surprises. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is slowly changing the landscape and the society. He's making his country into a tourist destination and an international sports hub. Just a few months back, the kingdom also opened its first liquor store. The Crown Prince's decision surprised many and maybe even shocked conservatives in this country. Most importantly, Mohammed bin Salman is giving women their much-deserved rights. Consider this. For decades, Saudi Arabian women were forced to wear the abaya in public. The dress code was strictly enforced by the police, but women finally decided to speak up. Campaigners urged the Crown Prince to loosen the conservative dress code, and their effort was successful. The enforcement was lifted in 2018. The Crown Prince said women should wear decent and respectful clothing. Whether they wear the hijab or abaya is a personal choice. Personal choice. Those aren't words you get to hear often in the region, not when it comes to women. It is clear that the Crown Prince has been pushing for women's rights. In fact, he has a long-term development strategy called Vision 2030. Under this plan, he aims to reduce gender discrimination. Before lifting abaya compulsions in 2018, he ruled that women should be allowed to attend sporting events, also drive cars. Now, this might seem like small steps to the world outside, but for women in Saudi Arabia, it made all the difference. Prior to that, many had to let go of their careers due to difficulties related to commute. Many could not afford daily taxis or private drivers, but being allowed to drive changed all of this. It gave them the freedom to work and run errands at their convenience. In 2019, Saudi Arabia announced the Women in the Workplace initiative. It mandated equal pay for equal work. The policy strives to make the environment more hospitable and safe for women. Women are also allowed to apply for passports and travel abroad now. You may be watching the show from other parts of the world where this is the norm. These are rights. Do we really need to celebrate basic rights or praise them? Believe me, it has been a huge leap for Saudi Arabia. It's very easy to judge, but here's the thing. We need to look at it from Saudi Arabia's lens. It has stepped up and asked for the responsibility of the chair at the UN Women's Forum. Maybe it's asking for a chance to change its image. But I have to say, it would have made more of a difference if a woman was given that opportunity. What do you think? It's a big week for Pakistan's civil aviation. The country's first and only low-cost airline has launched its second international sector. The airline will now fly from Lahore to Sharjah. Let me tell you the real news. Its name, Fly Jinnah. Jinnah as in Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Pakistan's Quaid-e-Azam, the great leader, the founder of Pakistan, which was born in a deal between Jinnah and the British Raj, remember, in 1947 at the cost of the partition of United India. Here's a thought. How would Jinnah feel? I can guess how Mahatma Gandhi would have felt. He would have much preferred that a spinning wheel had been named after him. But Jinnah was a self self-made aristocrat. He earned a fabulous fortune at the bar and spent it all on himself, on his magnificent home in Mumbai, on his princely lifestyle, which included the best scotch before an immaculate dinner every evening, on his perfectly tailored clothes in which he went to political meetings. There was no British viceroy who dressed or lived better than Jinnah. Jinnah would surely be pleased that 7 decades after his death, someone in Pakistan had honored him by naming an airline after him. But here's a thought. Would Jinnah be very happy about the fact that a low-cost airline service, only by what has been described in derogatory phrase as cattle class, had been named after a man of his sophisticated tastes and first-class lifestyle? Well, at least Jinnah has now begun to serve the ordinary Pakistani people instead of only the elite, if in an oblique way. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was not born with a silver spoon. His parents lived in a rented apartment near Karachi. Growing up, young Jinnah preferred playing cricket over marbles, not because cricket was British and was considered a gentleman's game, but because young Jinnah did not want to get his hands and clothes soiled. Jinnah read law and went on to become India's highest earning lawyer. Jinnah loved luxury cars. He had a Rolls Royce and a Cadillac. When in London, he would be driven by a chauffeur in a Bentley. Jinnah also fancied cigars and cigarettes. He owned a fine collection of Havanas and he carried his cigarettes in a silver case. You see, Jinnah had rich taste, rich hobbies, from playing golf to buying properties. He owned a house in Bombay's posh Malabar Hill neighborhood. The sea-facing 10,000 square meter house was built at the cost of 2 lakh rupees. We are talking about 1936. Marble was flown in from Italy for this house. Italian stonemasons were brought along with. Jinnah personally would supervise the construction work. Jinnah also owned a house in Delhi's Lutyens, London's upscale Hampstead, and in Pakistan's Karachi. All the houses were exquisite, designed or redecorated to Jinnah's taste. Speaking of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he was not a foodie. He had a limited appetite, but of all his meals, Jinnah loved a good breakfast. He liked his eggs scrambled or 3/4 boiled. It's too bad Pakistan's Fly Jinnah is not treating its passengers to either. Those flying the low-cost airline need to pre-order and pay for their food. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, on the other hand, likes things elaborate. He always had 2 cooks on standby, one Indian and one Irish. He loved mangoes, fish and chips. Fly Jinnah, again, is not serving either. The menu is as limited as it gets. Jinnah liked the luxury of choice. The man had 200 suits. Jinnah's biographer, Stanley Wolpert, has written extensively about the leader's heavily starched shirts, his detachable collars, how Jinnah would never wear the same silk tie twice. He liked light colors, cream, beige, light grey being his top picks. And it's not just the suits. Jinnah also had a fine footwear collection. Boots, slip-ons, sandals, black pumps, he had them all. Most of his shoes were custom made in England and France. Archibald Warwell, who was the Viceroy of India from 1943 to 47, once wrote how, and I'm quoting here, Mr. Jinnah was adored by women for his distinguished sense of fashion. Adding, he models his clothes on Du Maurier, the actor. Fine clothes, fluent English, silk handkerchiefs, polished shoes, luxury cars and houses. That was Muhammad Ali Jinnah for you. Most of the things he used were personalized. They carried his initials, MAJ. FJ was painted on the tail of Pakistan's low carrier. There is nothing grand about it. The airline has just 5 planes. It has not even placed orders for more. Fly Jinnah's target group does not own 200 suits. I'm guessing they are mostly Pakistani workers working in the UAE and other parts of the region. They board this low-cost airline in order to escape the misery that is Pakistan. Dressed in pajamas, they venture on a cross-border journey with the hope of being able to help make ends meet for the families. Jinnah would not relate. Even in his final years, Muhammad Ali Jinnah had refused to wear pajamas. He insisted on wearing formals. Jinnah would reportedly say that he does not want to travel in pajamas. What a mismatch. As for Pakistan now, with its economy in a mess, with growing impoverization, Pakistan does not have the luxury to acknowledge this irony. Let's now shift focus to the Russia-Ukraine war. For the first time since 2022, Vladimir Putin's troops have struck the northeastern city of Kharkiv with aerial bombs, killing at least one civilian and injuring 16 others. The airstrikes caused widespread damage, hitting several residential buildings and damaging the city's Institute for Emergency Surgery. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, condemned the attack as Russian terror, quote-unquote.
How am I supposed to feel when a rocket hits my yard? It's just chance that we are alive. Someone was unlucky. Someone was killed. Someone has shrapnel wounds.
Now, according to Ukrainian officials, Russia may have used a new type of guided bomb in the airstrikes. According to Kharkiv Regional Police, Moscow may have used the UMPB D-30. It has been described as something between a guided aerial bomb and a missile. In fact, they are calling it flying bomb. The regional governor has said that Moscow may have used this new type of bomb to test their modified bombs on Ukrainian residents. Of course, Russia did not immediately comment. It denies targeting civilians. But you see, the war has killed thousands of people on both sides. There was a new attack after midnight. Over 1 million Ukrainians were left without power after Russia conducted airstrikes on energy facilities overnight. Russian strikes affected around 700,000 residents of Kharkiv. Not just Kharkiv. Ukrainians in southern Odessa as well as Dnipropetrovsk regions were affected by Russia's blackout strategy.
We need power for the generator to at least be able to get some water for the pump. Also to have power to keep running my business, to continue working somehow.
According to reports, Russia has carried out over 15 strikes on energy facilities in Kharkiv, leaving most of the city without power. This in turn caused water supply problems and shut down electric transport in the city. You see, in recent days, Russia has escalated its attacks on Ukraine. Ukraine's capital, Kiev, has experienced almost daily bombardment. Russian troops have kept the battleground busy with missile barrages and drone attacks. Russian attacks, it seems, are aimed at hitting Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Reports say it is Moscow's apparent retaliation for the recent Ukrainian aerial attacks that happened on the Russian border region of Belgorod. But such sporadic attacks have been common throughout the war. You see, the Kharkiv region cuts across the entire front line, where Ukrainian and Russian forces have been locked in battles for over 2 years. The region is frequently attacked with missiles and drones, but Wednesday was the first time that Russia has used aerial bombs since 2022. The recent escalation coming at a time when Ukrainian troops are exhausted and struggling with a shortage of both troops as well as weapons. Outnumbered and outgunned, Ukrainian troops are facing growing Russian pressure along the entire front line that, by the way, stretches over 1,000 kilometers. Earlier this week, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky fired one of his top security officials, Alexei Danilov. In a new reshuffle, Zelensky replaced Danilov with the head of Ukraine's foreign spy agency. The president gave no reason but said, without providing details, that Danilov will be reassigned to another area. Now, his dismissal comes after Zelensky in February decided to fire Ukraine's chief military officer, General Valery Zaluzhny. It brought to light the tensions between Zelensky and his commander-in-chief. At the time, it seems the Ukrainian president had grown tired after Ukraine's much-touted 2023 summer counteroffensive had failed to actually reach its goals. And this month, Zelensky was named Ukraine's ambassador to the United Kingdom.